In 2026, the pristine, green-logoed image of Subway as the healthy alternative to greasy burger chains is facing its most aggressive scrutiny yet. While the company markets its sandwiches under the Eat Fresh banner, a series of high-profile lawsuits, scientific investigations, and culinary exposés have pulled back the curtain on a processing system that many critics argue borders on the unethical. From chicken that DNA tests suggest is barely half meat to bread so sugary it was legally classified as a confection, the reality of Subway's protein is a far cry from the farm-to-table fantasy sold in their commercials. Quick favor before we move on. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 92% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So did you subscribe already? Great. Thank you so much for your support. Now back to the video. The Franken-Chicken investigation. The most damning blow to Subway's reputation came from a landmark DNA study by the CBC's Marketplace, which remains a cornerstone of the anti-Subway movement in 2026. Researchers tested the poultry in popular chicken sandwiches across several fast food chains. While competitors like McDonald's and Wendy's registered scores near 90% chicken DNA, Subway's results were startling. The oven-roasted chicken contained only 53.6% chicken DNA, and the sweet onion chicken teriyaki strips registered a mere 42.8%. The remaining DNA was found to be mostly soy. While Subway vehemently denied these findings and attempted to sue for defamation, a case that was notably dismissed under anti-SLAPP legislation, the investigation highlighted a widespread industry practice: restructured meat. To keep costs low and texture uniform, the protein is pulverized, mixed with soy protein concentrate, modified potato starch, and sodium phosphate, then molded back into a shape that resembles a chicken breast. Critics argue that labeling a soy-heavy patty as 100% chicken is a deceptive practice that should be strictly prohibited under consumer protection laws. The 100% real tuna mystery. For years, the tuna lawsuit has haunted the chain. Plaintiffs initially alleged that Subway's tuna was completely bereft of tuna DNA and was instead a mixture of various animal proteins. While a federal judge eventually dismissed the case in 2023 because DNA can be difficult to detect in cooked, processed fish, the Tuna-Gate scandal left a permanent mark. Independent testing commissioned by the New York Times previously found that lab technicians could not identify a specific tuna species in the samples. Subway's defense, that the cooking and canning process denatures the DNA, making it unreadable, is scientifically plausible, but it hasn't silenced the skeptics. In 2026, the question remains: if a consumer pays for 100% wild-caught tuna, should the burden of proof lie with the company to show that their supply chain hasn't been cross-contaminated with cheaper fillers or other fish species? The bread or cake? Legal precedent. Perhaps the most bizarre chapter in Subway's history is the 2020 ruling by the Irish Supreme Court, which legally determined that Subway's bread is not bread. Under the Value-Added Tax Act of 1972, bread must not have a sugar content exceeding 2% of the weight of the flour. Subway's bread, however, contained roughly 10% sugar. By 2026, this ruling has become a rallying cry for health advocates who argue that Subway is sugar-loading its customers under the guise of health. The illegal argument here is rooted in transparency. By calling a high-sugar, highly processed dough 9-grain wheat, the chain is allegedly misleading consumers who are trying to manage conditions like diabetes. While the infamous yoga mat chemical, azotocarbonamide, was removed years ago, it has been replaced by a laundry list of dough conditioners and preservatives that keep the rolls shelf-stable for months. The chemical cocktail, nitrates, and MSG. Beyond the DNA and the sugar, the illegal nature of Subway's meat often refers to the chemical additives used to preserve it. The cold cuts, the ham, turkey, and roast beef, are classified as ultra-processed meats. These proteins are frequently loaded with sodium nitrites, used to maintain the pink color of the meat and prevent botulism, but linked by the World Health Organization, WHO, to increased cancer risks. In 2026, new state-level disclosure rules in places like Texas and California are forcing companies to be more transparent about these additives. Thickeners like carrageenan, which some studies suggest can cause gut inflammation, and sugars like dextrose are common in Subway's health meats. Critics argue that a brand positioning itself as a fresh destination while serving Tier 1 carcinogens is a predatory marketing tactic that requires federal intervention to protect public health. The 2026 oversized marketing lawsuit. Adding to the meat-related woes is a 2024 to 2026 class action lawsuit claiming Subway materially overstates the amount of meat in its advertisements. Plaintiffs allege that the steak and cheese sandwich shown in commercials features 200% more meat than what is actually handed across the counter. This bait-and-switch advertising is especially damaging in an era of high inflation and food costs. The lawsuit argues that Subway uses photographic trickery to make their sandwiches look stuffed, while the reality is a thin layer of meat hidden under a mountain of lettuce. In a 2026 legal climate where the FTC is cracking down on unfair and deceptive trade practices, Subway's reliance on food styling over food substance is being tested in court. For many consumers, the gap between the TV screen and the sub wrapper isn't just a disappointment, it's a financial fraud. The Eat Fresh paradox. The case against Subway is not that their food is poison, but that the Eat Fresh slogan is an increasingly hollow promise. When your chicken is part soy, your tuna is a DNA mystery, and your bread is legally a confection, the term meat becomes more of a suggestion than a fact. As we move deeper into 2026, the push for clean label legislation is intensifying across the country. If successful, these laws would force Subway to be honest about the percentages of fillers in their proteins, potentially ending the era of the Frankensub once and for all. The survival of the brand now depends on whether it can return to actual fresh ingredients or if it will continue to lean on the industrial processing that has made its menu a target for lawyers and scientists alike.